So I'm quickly checking whether we are live there or not. And let's see if we are streaming live, because then only I'll start. Otherwise, some of the people will miss out. So I'm sorry if I'm taking your time. And I'm hoping that we are already streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. So yes, we are. Wonderful. I can see on YouTube, and if Saurabh can see it on Facebook, are we live?
No, I'm trying it on the YouTube and I can't see it right now. So
YouTube is live. I just checked, it's live on YouTube. And for those who can't see us, we should just check on YouTube. And we are streaming live on the Facebook page of IIRSI. So if you can't reach out, and then of course we have the web portal on which Lupin has organized, and that is again the third link. You can also watch out for an SMS which would have come to you in your inbox, which carries all the three links. So today's program, how every cataract surgeon can be a refractive surgeon. Now I'll be kicking off the presentations, and this is going to be more of a panel discussion based thing and small presentations from all of us. I will be trying to talk to you about why the need for us to do refractive surgery, number one, and how you can actually do refractive surgery without owning a laser, or even kind of borrowing a laser or visiting a friend. Then after me, Dr. Kumar Doctor will be speaking on the transformation of a cataract surgeon to a LASIK surgeon. So he will be covering up on how you could become a LASIK surgeon without actually having a LASIK machine, and he will give you all the possible options of how you can do it, from referring a patient to going yourself to going to another city, and how to have the mindset of a refractive surgeon even if you don't have a machine, because it really helps if you are aware of all the possibilities, and then things start happening. And then last but not the least, the most important part, as a cataract surgeon, maximizing happy unaided patients with cataract surgery. So how to have post cataract surgery patients who are going to be unaided and happy, which means it could be anywhere from getting the perfect refractive result to getting perfect astigmatism control, to be able to use presbyopia correcting IOLs. Though basically the mindset of giving emetropia come what may. Could it be cataract surgery, it could be refractive surgery, and kind of how to think like a refractive surgeon is what we are going to aim for. So and we will be taking discussions and questions through all three streams, through Facebook Live, from YouTube, and from our webinar. Feel free to send in questions, and we'll be very happy to answer them.
Gaurav,
so now,
one is no voice.
Yes, Kumar?
Somebody said no voice. Your voice is not going through.
Okay.
I'm able to hear it well.
On YouTube, I could hear it. Saurabh, can you hear it on YouTube?
yeah, I can hear it on YouTube.
Okay.
So I think from the webinar end, they can check and log in from another computer to see if the voice is coming through. And I think we'll proceed, because I'm sure that on YouTube IRSI channel, we are being heard and seen both.
So
okay.
I can hear it on the YouTube. Yeah.
All right. So let's look at refractive surgery. What is refractive surgery? Refractive surgery is any surgery which aims to minimize our dependence on glasses. So it could be related to cataract, it could be related to without a cataract, anything at all. And most patients now aspire to be free of dependence on glasses. What's happened is, over the years, people have become aware. It's like squint. 10, 15, 20 years back, people used to come to us with a squint and they were really scared of surgery. But over the years now, we realize that more and more patients who are coming for a squint are willing and open to surgery. They know that there is a solution for it. Same way, glasses, now most people understand that glasses are not essential. There is a solution available. They are aware of the solutions available because of a lot of marketing and a lot of people who have undergone, as we are aware, 30 million people or maybe more who have undergone refractive surgery till now. So in and around us, there are patients, who have had surgery, and, most of them, 99.9% of them, have a good result, unlike as what many other people might think. So there is a demand for cataract surgery. There is an awareness for refractive surgery, I'm sorry. And so patients who would like to be free of glasses could be from those following cataract surgery. They all want to be free of glasses if possible. Patients with contact lens users who have contact lens intolerance. Then there are people wearing thick glasses, either hypermetropic or myopic. They would potentially be looking for a solution for glasses. Then it could be the presbyopes. We have so many presbyopes, including in our own house, who would say that, isn't there a solution for getting rid of the glasses? People wearing thick glasses, they would potentially be looking for a solution for. Can you please mute or keep the volume off on the handheld devices, everyone? So there could be sports persons who have a requirement to remain free of glasses. There could be occupational requirements. For example, in the forces or in merchant navy, there are so many occupations where they need to be free of glasses. There could be cosmetic reasons, girls and boys alike, and there could be peer pressure. Somebody amongst your friends has undergone a refractive surgery, and you think, oh, that person has got a refractive surgery, and why don't I? So I mean, there is a lot of awareness, and there is a demand, and therefore, we are foolish if we are not offering refractive surgery as an option just because of a mental mindset that we don't want to do it or we can't do it. That's what we want to dispel today. So is it necessary to buy a LASIK machine to be a refractive surgeon? No, 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 no. This is one mindset which we need to lose. To be a refractive surgeon, you don't have to own or have access to a LASIK machine. This is very, very important to understand. So who is best qualified to be a refractive surgeon? Every cataract surgeon, I would say, and beyond. Every eye surgeon is qualified to be a refractive surgeon, but at least every cataract surgeon is definitely able to be a refractive surgeon. And why? Basically, a cataract surgeon is already a skilled surgeon. Cataract surgery is amongst our most important surgeries, which requires a pretty good skill set. So I think every cataract surgeon already has the skills of being a refractive surgeon. He just requires more understanding of the subject if you are doing corneal refractive surgery, but I'll come to more. Now, you need a decent OPD volume and a surgery load, which means that a cataract surgeon, if he's doing, now when I say decent, it does not mean that you have to be the busiest cataract surgeon in town. In fact, even if you're doing, good cataract surgery and you don't have a very busy OPD or a very big surgical load, you are ideally suited. If you have a good OPD attendance, and even those who have few OPD attendance, they can be a refractive surgeon too. So there is no fixed number that you should be doing. Now, what's most important is understands the need for emetropia, which means that you have to have a mindset that your patients deserve emetropia, and that I think every eye surgeon or cataract surgeon today should be having, and already has most equipment necessary, which means that almost every cataract surgeon already has what it takes to investigate and treat and decide what kind of refractive surgery is going to be good for a patient. Now, in today's world, which is really competitive, and especially today when in COVID times, an added revenue stream does not hurt anyone, which means that if beyond what you're already doing, if you have some few additional procedures a month of a refractive surgery, it's never going to hurt you. It's going to widen your patient base, increase the number of facilities you're offering without investing a single penny. And especially in COVID times, I think this is going to be important because, what we might expect in the next 6 months to 1 year is that our OPD volumes may go down, our surgical volumes may go down, cataract surgeries may get postponed. So having an additional option for revenue generation is not going to be bad at all. So what do we need to start? I think what we need most is just a change in our mindset. That's the most important thing. Refractive surgery is not the domain of a select few. Everybody can do it very, very easily. The quest for, now when I say that, let me qualify it. You can do it easily, but please don't take this lightly. It requires a lot of understanding, it requires diligence, and it requires you to pay attention to small details. So while it is not difficult to do, it just requires you to be informed and aware and discuss with your friends, colleagues, teachers, whoever you have access to, and you will need support. And I think there are hundreds of people willing to support you now in today's age of the internet and YouTube and everything, including today's webinar. There is ample support available. So the quest for emetropia in everything we do. So whatever we do in our clinics and hospitals, in the OTs, we should always have a quest for emetropia. Let us not settle for a less than perfect outcome in 90% of our cases. It is very gratifying for the surgeon and the patient both. So that's what is important when you have the quest for emetropia. It is also financially rewarding. And so what should we do first? I think first thing, raise your standards. Whatever you're doing, set a higher benchmark for yourself in the quest for emetropia. Become perfect in your biometry, which means that first step for a cataract surgeon, if you are first of all implementing emetropia and the quest for emetropia in your cataract patients, that will be the first step towards becoming a refractive surgeon. And today, Dr. Saurabh Choudhary will be talking to you at length on how to do this. So he will be telling you a few pearls on biometry and lots of other stuff related to that in his last talk for today, which is going to be on refractive cataract surgery. Then aim to get 90% of your cataract surgery patients within plus minus 0.5 of emetropia. So this is entirely possible today, even with your monofocal lens implants first, if you're using a good technique for biometry, which could be anywhere from immersion scan to optical biometry, and using the right formulas. We have excellent formulas. We have the Barrett's, we have the Hill RBF. They all will help you, and they're all free resources available online if they are not there on your biometer already. You just need to kind of get that into your system. Start paying attention to astigmatism. Now, this is very, very important. If you're not already doing toric IOLs, Please start them. They are not difficult to do at all. They are very straightforward. You don't need to have any additional equipment. Now, that's a whole subject in itself, so I will not go into the depths of that. Maybe Dr. Saurabh Choudhary will mention a little bit about that. So, should you calculate only for patients who have more than 1.5 diopters of astigmatism? Now, that's again a totally wrong mindset. In our clinic, every patient who gets a biometry, even with 0.1 or zero point 0.2 astigmatism, will get a toric calculation done. Why? Because even those with a small astigmatism of say 0.2 or zero point 0.3, depending on whether they are with the rule or against the rule, there may be a patient who has only 0.3 astigmatism but will do well with a small toric of say 100 or a 150 type, like a T1 or T2 or T3. And there may be another patient who has almost 1 diopter of astigmatism, yet he probably does not need a toric IOL or even a 1.25. I have had patients with 1.25. Now, why is this happening? Because of the Barrett's, because of the posterior corneal astigmatism and the Barrett's nomogram, which is used for that. I think Dr. Saurabh might tell you a little more about that. So please calculate toric IOL calculation for all your patients. Indian torics are reasonable and good too if you are scared of spending a lot of money or your patients can't afford. Some people make an excuse that torics are so expensive. Why should I do it? You can entirely do for very reasonable price. If you're doing Indian torics, they're pretty good. And your happy emmetropic patients will refer a lot of more patients so that your practice will grow. And today, in the quest for emmetropia for our cataract patients, there is a large choice of presbyopia correcting lenses available, which extends from the EDOF, extended depth monofocals, to the extended range of vision multifocals, to the bifocal lenses, to the trifocals, and more and more and more, which is all coming in. So going on, the first step is to ensure that in your cataract surgeries, you are getting close to emmetropia in all your patients. Now going on beyond cataract surgery, how to start being a refractive surgeon? First thing, most important, I think this is again a change in mindset. Whenever a patient asks you कि that can't I get rid of my glasses, और ये चश्मा हट नहीं सकता है या पहनने के बिना काम नहीं चलेगा, the first instinct of those people who don't do refractive surgery themselves is to tell them नहीं नहीं ये सब चीजें तो बेकार होती हैं, उसमें रिस्क भी होता है, आप क्यों कराना चाहते हो, छोड़ दो, चश्मे से कोई दिक्कत होती है क्या, या कॉन्टैक्ट लेंस पहन लीजिए, which means that demotivating patients for refractive surgery. Now, the moment you have said that to a patient, he knows that this surgeon is not likely to offer me refractive surgery, or he doesn't do it. He will immediately, if he wants to really do it, he will first of all go and look for an alternative surgeon who is doing it. So you have already lost that one patient which potentially was wanting a refractive surgery. You thought that by telling him that refractive surgery is not good, he's not going to do it, but that's not going to happen. He's going to do his research on the internet, he's going to talk to his friends, and if he is motivated for refractive surgery, he will just find another surgeon who is offering it to him. So first thing is, always build a positive message to every patient that yes, refractive surgery is now possible and we are doing it in some ways, and there are many ways to do it. So you can start by ensure that the message goes through to your patients. In a subtle way, you can do in-house branding of refractive surgery. You can say that we are offering refractive surgery amongst your services. You can mention it on your letterhead. You don't have to say that I'm doing LASIK, and don't specify. You can say options for getting rid of glasses are available, please inquire, or you can mention the various refractive surgeries which are possibly present, so that the message goes through that you are offering refractive surgery and your clinic is offering refractive surgery. Acquaint your staff with your plans. First, make sure hold a meeting with all your staff, because what might happen is that they may be turning back patients even from the reception. Somebody calls up to ask कि आपके यहाँ चश्मा हटता है, and the answer that नहीं हमारे यहाँ नहीं हटता और ये तो अच्छा procedure नहीं है, but that patient will just go somewhere else. So the message has to be visible from you, from your staff, from your reception staff to your optometrist. They all should be giving a positive thing that yes, it's possible, as long as you meet the requirements, as long as you meet the safeguards, as long as you are eligible for it. Please consult our doctor, he will guide you better. Patient education brochures could be lying around in your reception area, which can educate about the options for refractive surgery. Even if you're not doing all of them, it doesn't matter. You may be able to convert them into one of the options that you are offering. Watch out for patients seeking spectacles correction. So, be alert. There are patients who are coming to you, there are attendants who are accompanying them. So casually mention the possibility of spectacles removal in the future to all patients being prescribed glasses or who have attendants who are using glasses. Just mention that, nowadays it has become possible to even get rid of your glasses. If you decide in the future, we can consider it for you. Or when you grow up, we can think about it. Sometimes the parents are very worried कि डॉक्टर साहब इनका इतना नंबर हो गया, बच्चों का इतना चश्मा लग गया है, क्या करेंगे? So you can mention that don't worry, when the child grows up to be 18 or 20 years, we have options available. You are building a potential future client and who might come back to you later on. And you can mention casually that now refractive surgery has come a long way. We used to be kind of wary of it when it started off 25 years back, and now today there are several good techniques available. In addition to LASIK, there are several. This always works because sometimes they have a mindset. They say, "Oh, LASIK to acha nahi hota hai, hame kisi ne bola tha." So I typically tell all the patients that now it's not just LASIK. We have 5, 6 procedures available, and they are all suited. Different procedures are suitable for different people. We have SMILE, we have surface treatment, we have ICLs, we have bioptics. So it kind of builds the confidence that there are many options and you can choose one, and we'll give you one which fits you and which is safest for you. So building a patient base for the future. Those who ask for the possibility of refractive surgery, tell them, even if we are planning for the future, today you can actually get a record made from now. Start recording your vision, start recording your refraction. If necessary, even we would actually, even some children who come to us at 18, now talk to us about LASIK. We tell them that 18 is not the best age if you're not in a hurry, if you're not having a immediate requirement, like if you're joining NDA or if you're going for merchant navy, we may possibly consider them at 18. But typically today I would offer it to somebody who is 20 or 21 years old, not before that, and with a stable refraction and with stable topography if possible. So even at 18, we would investigate them. We would tell them, don't worry, we might do LASIK 2, 3 years down the line. Let me look at you and investigate you for your eligibility. I will look at their corneal thickness. I will have a quick look at their topography if I want to do it, if they want to pay for it. And I will look at their refraction and maintain an annual record for them so that we can check whether they remain stable for the next 2, 3 years on their refraction, on their topography if possible, and do a peripheral retina exam on every annual visit to see that their retina remains fine. It's good to have a stable correction for at least 2 to 3 years. Ideal age for refractive surgery is 2021 or even more than that, as long as you have stable corneas and everything. So check refraction on every visit, check for the corneal thickness, topography, peripheral retina exam. Now patient is convinced, what should I do now? So once the patient is convinced, what we can do now is good refraction. You check for the current glasses prescription, do a quick clear film exam, look for dry eye, look for anterior segment anomalies, do a slit lamp exam. Ocular surface is important because any kind of that would help you decide whether you want to do a corneal laser procedure or you would like to go for a phakic lens or something. Get a retina exam, get the corneal thickness. We've already discussed. If you don't have a topography, don't worry. Look at the keratometry. Some people have OCT in their clinics. They might have an attachment for anterior segment. You could do that. That gives you a pachymetry map. So that would be very useful. So once the patient is convinced, start investigating them, start talking to them about it. Do your exams. That will help you decide what kind of a procedure is the patient suitable for. Now, once you've decided for that, see, today I am going to try and cover how to choose patients for a phakic lens. After me, Dr. Kumar will tell you how to decide how to treat patients with a laser, like doing a laser vision correction, surface ablation, or LASIK, or SMILE, all those options. So I will try to now veer towards phakic lens. I've had a problem with my PowerPoint, so some of my slides have got deleted by mistake during the backup, but I will try to fill up for it. So when you have now decided that, once you've we've done all these tests, now mentally we have to think, what are we going to offer this patient? Okay, which means that should I take this patient towards laser correction, or should I take this patient towards a phakic lens, or should I prepare this patient for down the line in a year or two when I will be owning a LASIK machine or I will have access to a LASIK machine? So now once you've decided for this, now suppose in your mind you said, okay, small correction, maybe a myopia of say 2, 3 diopters, you will be starting to think in terms of maybe a laser vision correction. You look at the corneal thickness, you look at the keratometries. If you have done a topography, look at that. If that allows you a laser correction and you have access to a LASIK machine, you can start moving that patient. Dr. Kumar will guide you how to do that. Now, suppose you don't have access to a LASIK machine at all, even in the adjoining city, you don't have one where you can visit once in a month. Then start thinking of an ICL. Now, what are the things which stop us from doing an ICL? Now, let's first look at what all you need to do when you're planning an ICL. You don't need special equipment at all. That's the best part. Every cataract surgeon has all the skills to do a phakic lens implant. All right. So what you will be checking for potentially when you are preparing for a phakic lens is refraction, pachymetry, although it's not essential, but it helps. Now, AC depth, most important thing for a patient with phakic lens. Internal AC depth, which means from the endothelium to the lens surface, which means that if you're doing it on your A scan, you can deduct the pachymetry from the axial, from the anterior chamber depth, and you will get the internal AC depth. So also most of our devices today, like the Pentacam and many other machines, even optical biometers, will give you internal AC depth very nicely and very accurately. So a cutoff for the AC depth is usually 3 millimeters, but today in special situations, especially where you have angle which is open, or eyes where the refractive error is not too high, where you're doing a myopic small patient, small correction, even an AC depth of 2.9 or maybe critically 2.8 would also be possible. But ideally, I don't go below 2.9 or 2.85. Now, a peripheral retina exam. Gonioscopy, very important. Just do a quick gonioscopy and check whether the angles are open. And now, for ordering an ICL, the most important thing, you've already got the refraction, you have the AC depth, you need the white to white. So, what is the best way to measure the white to white? Use calipers. So, you can use calipers on the slit lamp, you can use calipers under the microscope, and you can then check it on the digital calipers so that you have an accurate measurement, very inexpensively available, and it should not be difficult. So you are basically measuring the white to white. What are the other ways to measure a white to white? Now, white to white can also be measured on various devices, like there are certain auto refractors which have the option of measuring a white to white because they take a measurement. There are certain topographers which allow you, for example, the one which I use, that is from Oculus. And be very careful that don't use any automated machines for measuring white to white. Try to do it manually, even on the topographers or pentacam. There are calipers, digital calipers available, which will help you get the white to white. Now, once you've got that, you will do the phakic lens calculation and then the choices. So many people, they immediately turn off phakic lenses because they say, oh, this is horribly expensive and this is not my domain. Of course, the original ICL which was first came about was the Star ICL. Even before that, there was the PRL and there were other things. There were phakic lenses which were the Iris Claw, the Very Size, the Very Flex. They've all gone out of the market. But Star is probably the one which has the maximum numbers right now. Yes, it has become expensive because the Swiss franc became expensive. So today, if you have to put a Star ICL, the cost for two lenses could vary from, I think, from spherical it could be anywhere between 60,000-65,000 to you, to maybe 90,000-95,000 for toric. So implantation is typically at 1.35, 1.65, or even higher for both eyes. So yes, it's expensive, and today patients are willing to pay that much because you are charging them for multifocal IOLs, you're charging them for for your toric IOL. So they know that expensive lenses are expensive, and they are mentally prepared. So when we started doing Smile about 3 years back, and we were charging about 1,20,000, we suddenly saw a big jump in our ICL numbers also, because those patients who could afford Smile, and if they were not eligible for a laser correction, they would very easily switch to a Star ICL. But then now let's come to what happens beyond. It's not important to just use Star ICL. We now have very good numbers with the Indian ICL. Lot of surgeons in India are using the Indian ICLs, the phakic lenses, and they're all available from several companies. ICARE makes the IPCL, which I've myself used many numbers. Apaswamy makes very good phakic lenses. Then Biotech makes very good phakic lenses. The iCRIL phakic, again, I've used several of these. And the best part is that the range of corrections possible on the Indian phakic lenses is way beyond what is possible with the imported ICLs. So typically now the second mental block is that if I have a patient with a small correction, we've grown up with the mindset that ICL should be used only when we are doing a correction over 12 or 13 who is not eligible for LASIK. Now you'll be surprised to know, or maybe you already know about it, there are certain people and practices in the US and in Europe who don't do laser correction at all. They've given away their LASIK machines completely. They have switched completely to phakic lenses for even corrections like -2 or -3. I have myself now started doing several procedures with the phakic lens for patients with small corrections or 2 or 3 diopters with small astigmatism. So phakic lenses are available for a whole range of corrections, starting from small 2 or 3 diopters, going up to maybe 18 diopters, astigmatism up to 5 or 6 diopters, or even more if you're customizing the lens. And Indian lenses can be customized and ordered at even a very high power of like 25 or 26, and plus numbers up till 8 or 10. Now, plus numbers initially, I will not suggest that you do it because these are convex lenses and they are thicker. People eligible for hyperopic ICLs are very small because the AC depth is usually narrow. Start with myopic patients first. Start with mediocre corrections like -5 or 6 or 8 or 10 first. Don't come for very small ones. Don't go for very high ones. That's what I would suggest. But yes, all these ICLs are available. Now, calculations, the way they vary by manufacturer, all ICL companies, phaking manufacturers from Star to Upper to IPCL, from ICARE to Biotech, they will all be happy to come and sit in your clinic for you to help you calculate. It's very easy. They have online systems now. If you don't want people to come and sit on your head, you can just send them the data. They will calculate and tell you what kind of ICL white to use, what size to use, and they will happily send it to you. Now, when you're starting off for the first time, it's good to have the clinical applications guy come there. They will always come and assist for your first few surgeries. They will also bring a standby lens just in case during loading your lens gets damaged or during injection. Now, loading and injection, many people have a mindset that it's difficult. No, it's not difficult at all. Especially for the Indian phakic lenses, it's almost the same butterfly cartridge. My videos got deleted, but I will come back at the end of the surgery if I have time to show you that. But it's very easy to load. Now, Star ICL is a little more difficult to load, but once you get used to it, it's not difficult. It's just that you have to learn the right technique. I will try to show you a video after Dr. Saurabh Choudhary's presentation because it got deleted. And now let me also tell you that once you have phakic lenses, what are the cautions? After this, I'm going to transfer to Dr. Kumar Doctor. The cautions when doing a phakic lens: don't do it for any patients with glaucoma, with shallow chambers, corneal pathology, especially of the endothelium, retinal lesions or a bad retina which has had multiple lasers done or some kind of retinal surgery done. They are not the best patients to start with. A patient with any kind of lenticular opacities, a poor endothelium, zonular laxity, and there are many more contraindications as well. Now, when you plan it, you should take the help of some of your friends who are already doing ICLs. That will help you. Let me also fill you up on other non-laser techniques which are amongst those which slides got deleted for me by mistake. There is also the presbyopic ICL now, the presbyopic IPCL, which is available, and that comes for people who are seeking a solution for presbyopia and have an AC depth more than 2.8. So they can be offered an ICL which can give multifocal kind of an ICL which gives you reading ability. There are also piggyback Sulcoflex lenses or Sulcofix lenses which can be used for a post cataract surgery patient, pseudofix, who may be needing a kind of refractive correction. They can also come in a toric kind, they can come in a multifocal kind, they can come in the plano kind, the monofocal kind for correcting refractive error. So all these are possible. And ICLs are not difficult to do at all. I will come back to you later with some more slides showing you the correct technique of surgical technique, which is very, very easy. And I will now try to go on to, I will quit the sharing part, and I will request Dr. Kumar to help you how to start laser-assisted refractive surgery. So, Dr. Kumar, please go ahead. I hope the message was clear. Please send in your questions through our dashboard on the web portal, on Facebook or YouTube. Even if we can't answer all of them right here, we will be able to answer them for you later on the portals, Facebook and YouTube, and we will try to answer more questions, here as well. So Dr. Kumar Doctor is a prolific surgeon. He has been, my age or a little senior to me. In fact, I learned phaco chopping from him, from his videos. He's, been around for since the early 2000s as one of the top surgeons for cataract and refractive. He has a high volume practice. His LASIK center, a lot of doctors actually come and visit. So I thought he was the ideal person to speak on this because almost 40 surgeons visit his center in Bombay for performing their surgeries. So he will guide you through, and he offers a fellowship program, as do I offer a fellowship program in refractive surgery and an observership, and so does Dr. Saurabh Choudhary. If you are interested, you could apply to any of our centers for a small observership or fellowship. Dr. Kumar, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gaurav. I think that was very well done in the problem that you had. I'm going to talk entirely something very different. I think you can see me now and my slides are visible.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to talk on what can you do as a cataract surgeon and can you do LASIK as a procedure in your setup or wherever you go. The steps of how to get successful results and how to motivate your patients. There are 2-3 things. You'll be surprised, the doctor I was talking to yesterday and asked me, who is a complete ophthalmic surgeon? Okay, now this is a damn tough question, and I'll tell you why. Our seniors, Dr. K.K. Mehta, for example, is from PGI Chandigarh, and he does retinal surgery, he does squint surgery, he does LASIK surgery, he does ICL, he does cataract, he does everything. Okay, so do we have this today? The answer may be very tough to answer. So who is a complete ophthalmic surgeon? If you see a setup like this, you can see what are our branches in ophthalmology. We have refractive specialty, corneal specialty, cataract, glaucoma, strabismus, pediatric ophthal, oculoplasty. There is a specialty of medical retina, there's surgical retina, there's uvea, comprehensive neuro-ophthalmology, and ocular oncology. So we have divided ophthalmology into multiple subspecialties. And so it's quite confusing that when you do your MS and you come out, it's a trend that you have to do fellowship. And there is no other way to go. So can you transform yourself from a simple cataract surgeon, which you've done in your master's, Today, everybody does phaco in masters and they come out and they're able to do phacoemulsification. And can you start LASIK and can it change your life? Yes or no is what we will answer. So the answer to this is don't stress. It's possible and it's just the beginning. Today, if you talk to a patient that you have got glasses, you will benefit from a procedure called LASIK or laser, and your number can be removed and your dependency will be reduced. The patient on an average takes about 6 to 9 months to decide whether they want the procedure or not. So it's not that, yes, chalo, walk in, unless the patient has already done research, come back and said, okay, I've seen you on the net, and this is what you've been doing for donkey's years, I want to get it done. So on an average, if you start motivating every day a few patients, they will actually come back to you after 6 to 9 months to get the procedure done. So it's not going to be magical, but it does happen. So the point here I'm trying to take home is start talking the day you start work. Now you've done your master's, you've done your fellowship, and you come out and you want to start practice. Now let's presume you don't do fellowship and you're a brilliant cataract surgeon and you want to start practice and you want to give options to all your patients. So you have to give option of refractive surgery, squint surgery, glaucoma surgery, oculoplastic surgery, depending on the specialty. So suppose you've done a vitreoretinal specialty. There are some doctors who are vitreoretinal surgeons also do LASIK. There are some vitreoretinal surgeons who also do cataract. And it's vice versa. So it's the same thing that if you are a brilliant retinal specialist, doesn't mean you cannot do LASIK surgery. If you are a brilliant oculoplastic fellowship done, and you can also still do LASIK. So bottom line is if you're doing private practice, and you're working somewhere, a patient comes to you with glasses, you have to give option to the patient and try to convince them to the next step. And this is how the whole story of your conversion to a refractive surgeon will actually begin. The question here is when, how to, and why. Is it possible and is it easy? So this, if you see an Alzheimer clinic, is quite confusing, but I'm going to solve each of these partitions and then tell you exactly how it can be done. So when to start? The answer is actually you. You have to decide in your mind, yes, I'm ready to do refractive surgery. Yes, I want to learn something new. Yes, I'm convinced that this is the way to go. If you yourself are doubtful, this is not going to happen. The patient will look through you and decide and tell you, yes, this guy is not confident, better not go to him. Many, many years back, there were no fellowship programs. So what did we all do? We traveled, we saw, we spoke, we discussed with people, we observed, we learned from seniors, and now we are teaching laser surgery. So it's a process that happens to everyone. So today, if you do your fellowship, doesn't mean it's over. I always say that I always do everything that my teacher never taught me. So when I did my master's, LASIK was not there as a procedure. It was there abroad, but had not come to India so in such a big way. So point here I'm trying to make here is it takes time, but it is not impossible and it's quite easily, the path is not tough. How to do and how are the options? There are many options. If you are loaded with money, the first day of your practice, you can afford to buy a machine, buy it. And then you can start off. If you can't buy it, you steal it. It's a little difficult to steal an examiner machine because you know the size and the weight. It weighs from between 500 to 1,000 kilos. If you don't have any of this access, don't panic. Go to somebody who has it. You can begin with referring the patient to an adjacent city or an adjacent center if you get along well and you're sure that the patient will refer back. Because don't forget that in this scenario, when you're referring the patient to an adjacent city and adjacent center, what is actually happening is you're doing the pre-op evaluation. You're referring the patient, that surgeon is doing the surgery, the patient comes back to you, the post-op is your liability and your responsibility. So it's just not by ending and referring and the patient goes back there for post-op. And some people in Bombay have started a group. So you have your own practice in area X, you start another center in area Z, 6 of you get together, each one puts X amount of money, start a neutral LASIK center. These models have been successful in Gujarat, Maharashtra, various places in the city. This is another way of handling it. So that you're dividing your investment 1 by 6. All of you can get to use the machine. All of you have the same liability. All of you can take one day. Suppose 6 of you get together. One takes a Monday, one takes a Tuesday, one takes a Wednesday. You take your own centers. The walk-in patients can be divided accordingly. And it's quite easy to manage. So is it possible to do this? The answer is absolutely yes. Question is how to. Now, if you want to start it, what is your initial investment to make to start LASIK as a procedure? As mentioned here, pachymetry ultrasonic is a gold standard. This is a necessity. It's not expensive, you all know. The cost is between 1 lakh and 1.5 lakhs. The next step you need to buy is a topography system, a Placido, And my advice to that would be that if you can invest a little more, the Scheimpflug type of camera. So there are multiple systems which have this. One is the Pentacam, which is a gold standard. There is a Galili, there is a Cirrus. So all these are Scheimpflug cameras, and they give you the additional advantage over the anterior placido is the posterior float, the pachymetry, and the rest of it, the white to white, all can be calculated through that, and lots more. You can get your ACD from the endothelium, etc. So go to a center which does this test if you don't want to buy this. So what I would advise to all of you, buy an ultrasonic pachy, buy an anterior placido, and go to a center which has a pentacam. So that the day you take the patient to the center, get your pentacam done, do the evaluation there, get one more test done, get the laser done, and you can take the patient home. So this is another way of cutting short the investment in the initial stages. Now let me tell you, step one is understanding the procedure. Okay, what are the indications for LASIK? Whether you want to do blade, femto, surface, or smile, you must know the indications. So you cannot have a patient walking with the -22 and say, I will do your femto because I have been doing LASIK lately. So that's not going to work. You cannot tell a patient with -11 and who has a pachymetry of 425 and say, I'm going to do your surface. So you must know the indication of each procedure. You must know the contraindication which is generally followed in any procedure. You must know the limitations of each procedure. You must know the technology you want to use and the limitation of the same. And you must study the market around you in competition. So there is a center 5 kilometers away which charges for a blade LASIK 35,000 for 2 eyes. You can charge 30,000. If they're charging 50,000 as a beginner, you can charge 45,000 or 40,000 and yet get the patient convinced by you. So you cannot on day one start charging 1 lakh immediately and not have your own system. Go to another system. Some people are still doing it, but that you will not get the volume. You will not be able to get the volume. You won't get your hands on properly and the whole system will slow down. In all summary, in your own clinic, you must have pamphlets, brochures, software to show different procedures to the patient on the computer, and the best option that is the best for that patient in that scenario of the pachymetry and the topo that you see. The next is to identify. So now let's presume you started practice today, you don't have a LASIK machine. So first thing is identify a center nearby, 5 kilometers, 20 kilometers. Do not, some people have a psychology, he's next to me, the patient once goes there will never come back. It really doesn't happen like that. Patient has come to you for the procedure, you are taking the patient somewhere for a procedure, they will come back to you. I've been doing this for donkey's years and there is a lot of trust and faith in the patient as far as you are concerned. So go to a center which can convince you about technology. According to me, a broad beam technology, how LASIK was originally invented, is outdated. A scanning slit technology is outdated. All of us have a flying spot laser is the way to go. They have to be light-minded. They should be able to teach you and answer any question you want. And you should be convinced by the technology that that center has. And for the best of you and for your patient, financially, you should be able to share a certain ratio with them. And then you are happy, the center is happy, and the patient is happy. So you have to be able to identify a center near around you. If you select a center very far off, in a rainy season in Bombay especially, it will take you 1.5 hours to reach. The procedure takes not more than 15 minutes, and it takes you 1.5 hours to come back, and the whole thing takes a long amount of time. The third step is how to get to the next level. Okay, so once you visit the center, see the technology that they have, observe the staff if they are friendly or not. Initially, you may have a learning process of step by step. So as to see what the patient analysis is done, take your own patients to the center and get the ghost surgery done. So suppose I am the initial surgeon, I've just started practice, I have only 10 patients a day, I'm able to convince one patient, you're worried about the result, don't worry. The surgeons there are ready to do ghost surgery for you. The consent form will have your name. You convince the patient, talk to the patient of pre-op, post-op, medication, convince them about the procedure. The surgery is done by the other surgeon. The surgeon doesn't talk, only you talk to the patient, and the procedure is done, result is sure, and the patient goes back. If you can do this initially, 1 or 2 patients, you will develop the confidence in the technology. You as a surgeon will develop, okay, this center is fine to go to. And once you learn the step 1, you start holding the microkeratome in your hand. Once you hold the microkeratome in your hand, depending on the center you're going to, do a dry run. And then comes to the steps of learning the laser. So first thing is learn the microkeratome, or you then learn the laser, what switch to press on the screen of the laser, what are the different displays, understanding the data that you are putting into the machine, and then you can start making the flap. So once you've first done this part, then you take the patient yourself, Convince the patient, as you always been convincing, make the flap and get off the table. Then let the surgeons who the center belongs to, let him do the laser. You put the flap back. You only learn to handle the flap. Once you learn to handle the flap, the next time the surgeon where you're going to makes the flap, you only do the laser. You will ask me what's so difficult about the laser, what's so difficult about this. The answer is you're right. But the point here is at one time, do not involve all your steps of learning in one surgery. So when you're doing a particular surgery, learn step 1, master that step to a good level, then learn step 2, master that step, and then do 1, 2 together and get the whole procedure done by you. And then the surgeon need not be in the cabin at all. The surgeon could be around anywhere in the center, and you can continue and do the procedure by yourself alone. Do not hesitate to ask any stupid question you want to, because you may think it's stupid, but it's relevant to you. And understand that you get an answer back. That is very, very crucial. The machine you want to use, and the last one is once you are trained and you want to buy a system, let's presume you're going to a center, how will you decide that now I'm ready to buy my own laser? You have to do X number of volume, which is called break even in financial language. There are surgeons who have a lot of money on day one, they buy the exam first day, and then they run around to get patients. And then they want a break even. It's better that you first get X number of patients per month. You understand that you understood the system. Once you have got your results, then you got number of patients, and then you can buy your own system. Preferably buy the same system you bought. It's like you buy a Centurion, you buy a Signature Pro, and you put a Galaxy setting into the Centurion, you use the Centurion. For all of you who are doing phaco, you'll understand that these are systems which are high-end systems. You cannot interchange the technology by putting settings of one into the other. So you cannot drive a Ferrari like a Maruti or vice versa. LASIK, know your machine, know your microkeratome. You must know your topographer. You must know your wavefront analyzer if the patient or if the doctor has it. And if you know all this, you know that link up. Many examiner lasers can do a topo-guided treatment, can do a wavefront-guided treatment. You must see the way the data is entered into the system. And remember one, sometimes one day of LASIK, you may have 2 patients with the same name. So before you do the procedure, make sure that you enter the name properly and make sure that the refractive error is checked before you shoot the laser for each eye in each patient. So this is very, very crucial information. The question here is there a huge learning curve for LASIK? So if you are already a topical surgeon, even if you are not, you don't need to worry. It's quite easy. The learning curve is very, very small. So you need to divide A to get the flaps perfect, then get the flap and the laser perfect, and then get the whole system to get together, and then you can concentrate on the technology, then you can concentrate on the OPD. So understand the technology you want to use, know its limitations, do some wet labs, do some hands-on training courses like we at Dr. Institute do a 3-day and a 6-day course on LASIK. Fundamentals of LASIK technology, instrumentation, fluid and autoclave, what machines are to be used, how, complications, all of this can be explained to you during the course. So you have to attend this either webinars, you now have a lot of time, you can go to YouTube and get to see lots of other webinars, etc. All of us, Gaurav, myself, Saurabh, all of us do these courses. You can apply to us through email and just book your 3 days or 4 days. We all do hands-on training. So you get to do X number of eyes, and it's a 3-day course where every part of the LASIK thing is discussed, including complications, so that the curve for you is not all that tough. And this will help you in reducing your LASIK curve. For example, we have already trained in my center in Mumbai more than 80 doctors, Indian nationals, and 10 international surgeons. We do short day, 3-day courses. Gaurav also does this, Saurabh also does this, and this is ongoing for many, many years. So what do you get advantage in this? So you have started practice, say 1 year back, 2 years back. The biggest advantage for you is you don't have any investment to make. You don't have any AMC. You don't have any CMC. And if you have a complication, you can shout. The surgeon who's outside will walk in. He'll tell you what to do, and your problem is solved. A good technology will help you to treat unhappy patients or demanding patients. Like you can do corneal wavefront guided treatments, you can do ocular wavefront guided treatments, you can do presbyopic treatments. So if you have the Zeiss machine, you can do the press beyond, etc. But mind you, friends, there is no shortcut in evaluation. So don't take any shortcut. We all have protocols to follow. This has to be followed even if you're doing it in your center. Fill up the forms that are necessary and you can take your patient. This is a small video that I'm going to show, which was many, many years back. This was done. So I'm just going to show a short video as to step by step how LASIK is actually done. So first step is washing. So you can see that we are just doing a BSS wash. Now this speculum that you are actually seeing is actually a suction speculum. So there are ports here and that removes the debris that you're washing. So once you wash, you have to dry. So it's very easy to do this. And then you have to do a marking. Now mind you, this marking is pararadial. Pararadial means not radial, obviously. Radial means if you draw this line straight, it is a radius which becomes a diameter. But this is not going to be straight because it's not a diameter, and this is called pararadial. So you can have marking. Once you do the marking, so you can do 2 pararadial markings, you can do 3 pararadial markings. Again, do a BSS wash, remove the extra fluid. So I'm just showing simple steps, and then you put a suction. Either this is a Cariazo pendular microkeratome. It's one of the most easy microkeratomes to use. It's called the drop and go. So you can see once you apply the suction, we apply the motor, and once the saline is put, remove the eyelash. If there's any entrapment, you can use offsite. We nowadays use offsite. A small one. This is a very, very old video when I had an ascites. And then put the microkeratome, make a forward movement. And once that is done, so this is the creation of the flap. In today's technology, if you have a slightly decentered flap, don't panic, because your treatment is going to be well centered on the pupil. So there's nothing wrong if your flap is slightly temporal, but preferably don't make it slightly nasal. I mean, let it be slightly nasal and not temporal. So drying the edge, once you made the flap, why you dry the edge is because when you lift the flap, fluid will not come onto the surface of the stroma. If there's fluid on the surface of the stroma before the ablation, you will have undercorrection. If the surface of the stroma is extremely dry because of air conditioning and high temperature, you will have overcorrection. So these are very basics in understanding. Optical zone that you're going to select is going to depend on the size of the pupil, which you're determined from the instrument that you have. Once you lift the flap, you can go ahead and apply the laser. Here I'm protecting the hinge from the laser. In older machines, you needed to do that. In newer machines, you don't need to do that. Once you've done this, just wash off the stromal bed, wash off the back surface of the flap, and put the whole flap back. So if you understand that this procedure, again, topical anesthesia, very, very easy, both eyes done together. There's really nothing much as a procedure. So I'm trying to say here, take home messages. If you're doing cataract surgery, phaco emulsification, you started private practice, you have 15 patients a day, start motivating patients for a refractive procedure and select a center near your place which is open, light-minded, will not interfere, etc. and will still guide you and teach you. I have lots of surgeons who have been trained by me and today they have bought their own exam laser. Lots. So it is a slow process. Everybody goes through the same process. I also learned the same way. 2 people taught me, Dr. Bharti from Delhi and Dr. Vivek Pal from Delhi. They taught me LASIK many, many years back. They used to come with their machine to my center in Mumbai when I used to do blade LASIK many, many years back. So this is just to show you that once the laser is done, just to show you that the flap falls back. And when the flap falls back, just look at the alignment of the 2 marks that you have made, which are pararadial, and then make sure that the gutter round is perfectly fine, and that does your procedure. Some people use contact lenses, which is dipped in moxifloxacin. I have seen Professor Theo Seiler. He puts contact lenses in ofloxacin. I put contact lenses in Vigamox or any moxifloxacin, which is preservative-free, and then you can go ahead and put that contact lens on the eye, and that will help you completely. So how does this knowledge help you as a cataract surgeon? Believe you me, you will face this once in your life. You start doing multifocal IOLs, toric IOLs, and at the end of the whole effort that you've done a good surgery, topical anesthesia, perfectly in the bag lens. You have a refractive error post-op. I've had many patients referred by doctors who had a multifocal, any IOL, and post-op -2. It can happen to anybody. Now, what are your options as a surgeon? One option as a surgeon is to explant and reimplant, which is not all that easy. To give glasses and forget, the patient is going to be very unhappy. You can put an add-on IOL lens, which is made by Human Optics, which is very expensive, but you can take care of the refractive error. You can put another ICL on that IOL inside the eye to take care of the refractive error. But the next best option is to do LASIK or surface treatment on a patient like this who has a refractive error and is unhappy. So this is how it can benefit you as a procedure. Gaurav, I'd like to end here and to tell you that this is my steps. I'm going to stop sharing, and I think you can hear all of it, and we can discuss something, or Saurabh can do his presentation.
So I think I don't know if am I audible?
Yes, yes, audible.
So I think Kumar, that was fantastic how you took us through the journey of becoming a LASIK surgeon from being a cataract surgeon. And I think we are getting lots of questions, and I would love to answer them. But I think we have a very interesting topic in what Dr. Saurabh Choudhary is going to talk to us about, and he's kindly agreed to speak on this very important topic about how every cataract surgeon for their cataract surgery can also be a refractive surgeon, which means how to get satisfied cataract patients, unaided happy patients following cataract surgery. So after Dr. Saurabh finishes, we will be happy to take lots of your questions about how you can start refractive surgery in your own setup. I'll invite Dr. Saurabh to please start off. He's a Phakic trainer. He does a lot of refractive surgery. ICARE hospital in Noida has a huge volume of both charity and a lot of paid patients. They do a lot of quality work. They have, I think, more than 25, 30 consultants working, and he's leading the whole show there. I think Saurabh will be the best qualified to guide us here for good cataract surgery. Please go ahead, Saurabh.
Can you see my slides there?
Not yet. It says the screen loading for me.
Same for me.
Sorry?
It says screen loading. It's loading up.
No, it's saying loading error.
No, it'll come. It'll still come. It takes some time. Just see. Did you share your screen like the desktop? I mean,
yeah, I did that.
It should come up. Yeah, I think it usually takes a few seconds to do that. While it is coming up, Kumar, I want to know that in your view, what is, and Saurabh as well, while your screen is still loading, there are questions on should we take LASIK lightly? There are many people who have said that LASIK is actually a technique which, should be done. Lots of precautions. There are lots of complications and everything. Kumar, would you like to answer this? Do we see a lot of complications, and what are the safeguards that one would follow? Saurabh, I think you need to share it again. It says that it hasn't been shared. Can you try to share your screen again while Dr. Kumar answers this question? First thing is, should we take LASIK lightly? But a lot of complications with LASIK, like ectasia and other flap complications, as we used to see 20 years back. While you're answering, I think I'll request Dr. Saurabh to please try to load his screen again.
It's a very good question, Gaurav. It's like, if you're doing cataract surgery, can you have a Desmond's detachment? Answer is yes. Can you have a PC rent? Answer is yes. So any procedure that you do, if you're a surgeon, you're going to have a complication. Yes, the question there would be that these are young people, virgin eyes, they've never been touched. What is the chances? But if you see the ratio, it's very, very minimal. And today, even if the patients do develop keratoconus or any other complication, we can do so much for them. It's not an all loss phenomenon. And the amount of complication ratio that you also hardly we retreat, not even one patient in a year. So even if you're doing so many patients a month and so many patients a year, the retreatment rate has dropped drastically. With newer technologies and newer lasers, with Gaussian beam profiles, physics-wise, the quality of vision that the patients in the night are getting so much better that it is much, today the retreatment rate has dropped, complication ratio is much lower. So these patients are very, very happy. Saurabh, we can see your slides.
Sure, perfect. Thanks, Gaurav, and thanks, Kumar. I'm privileged to be here sharing the screen with you guys. It's been, though we're not wearing our masks, I've had a bad hair day. The girls have given me a haircut, so they're all bumps all around. So, okay. So like Gaurav and Kumar did talk about some procedures which you might not be having in your practice, and it's so simple to do phakic IOLs, as well as to go ahead and do LASIK in somebody else's center and then think about investment into your own centers. What I am going to talk about is what you do every day, but you need to think differently. Why do you need to do that? Because you need to maximize the patients happy patients who are going out of your center. If you do things, what you do in your practice slightly differently, there'll be more satisfied patients going out. That means more referrals. By word of mouth, more patients will come in, and your practice will increase. We all do perform cataract surgeries, and I will be touching a little about everything because my topic is huge. Like it is impossible for me to be talking about everything in detail, and we'd love that all the questions start pouring in, and the panel here can answer, because Gaurav and Kumar can answer better than me. They're all my seniors. So now, the patients coming in expect differently now, because the norm is now to have post-op minimal spectacle dependence. No patients will come in, and your practice will. There is an increasing use of multifocal and toric lenses to that regard, and it is no longer a cataract surgery, but a combination of cataract surgery and refractive surgery, and we call it as the refractive cataract surgery. Patient expectations have changed. So what happens post-operatively is you planted a lens in my eye. Why do I need it? Like why do you put a lens if I need glasses right now? You might have patients who might say, my neighbor does not wear any glasses after a surgery performed elsewhere. Why should I be wearing glasses? And then there is this huge group of patients who preoperatively, if told that yes, you have astigmatism and you will still need glasses, they don't believe you because they might not have used glasses earlier. So we do need to look into all these nuances as we go forward. So I'll be touching upon a few things, and I'll just browse through them as I did say, because we'll take the questions thereafter. The first important thing is the patient selection. You have to do a good. My pre-wearing glasses elsewhere. Why should I be wearing glasses? And then there is this huge group of patients. Sorry, I was getting an echo there. So, okay, so the patient selection is the most important thing, a pre-operative evaluation and counseling. You should look at the tear film, the meibomitis if the patient has any, the lids, the ocular surface, if there is any epitheliopathy or he is a contact lens wearer. You should be able to counsel the patient that he would have a post-operative residual refractive error for whatever causes. He would require glasses, and if he does not want to wear glasses, we need to do something differently, use different sorts of lenses or do something else, and we do need to pass that message to the patient. I'll be talking about the pre-existing refractive error. That means you're removing a lens which has some amount of vergence to it, and you're putting an artificial lens, so you have biometry for that. There is a pre-existing astigmatism. You need to take some methods like on-axis phacoemulsification, OCCI, LRIs, or toric lenses to take care of it. And there are other IOL options besides the mono. You can give them monovision, or you can use the monofocal extended depth of focus, the bifocal, which we call the multifocals, the trifocals, and the multifocal EDOFs, or the extended vision lenses. So what is biometry? Biometry is the process of just measuring the power of the cornea and the axial length of the eye. This data is used to determine the ideal intraocular lens power. So you're using the axial length, the corneal power, and now in the newer formulas, the effective lens position with various with the various constants, use them in the formulas to get the exact IOL power. Now, where do the maximum IOL power calculation errors come from? So if a patient is left with a spherical power post-operatively, he won't be a very happy patient because as I said, that others who have undergone surgery do not require glasses, and if he does require it, so we have to be very careful with our keratometry. So there will be an error of 1 diopter if there's a 0.9 diopter in the, if there's a 1 diopter error in the keratometry calculation, then there's going to be a 0.9 diopter error in the IOL power. And similarly, if there's a 1 millimeter error in calculating the axial length, there's going to be a 2.5 diopter error in the IOL power, and that's quite a bit. So we have to make sure that our keratometry and axial length is bang on. We also need to use the appropriate IOL formulas, and I'll just browse through that also. First, I'll talk about the keratometry. You can use actually the normal keratometers, which are the manual keratometers which are available. There are the auto keratometers also available, and otherwise there are many keratometers which are incorporated in the optical biometers. And as Kumar was saying, a topographer could give you a big help. So whatever is available, at least 2 of those should be used. Now, where are the errors coming from? It is 1, the improper calibration of your instrument, the faulty positioning of the patient, improper fixation of the patient. There is an accommodative fluctuation by the examiner a localized corneal epitheliopathy or a defect, excessive tearing, abnormal lid position, and improper focusing of the corneal image. You do need to look at all that. The autorefractometer, which is now available with most of us, is supposed to be slightly better. And in this study, which was done, it did show that the advantage of autokeratometer is that it allows a quicker evaluation, though the differences in value obtained by the two methods were not statistically insignificant. Coming down to the A scan. So in the previous slide, I said you can have a manual keratometer or an autokeratometer, but the values which come out will be good enough if you're calibrating and servicing your equipment well enough. Coming down to the A scan, this forms the part of the the axial length calculation with the help of the ultrasound. So as we all know that this ultrasound has a probe which through the applanation method it is touched onto the cornea. There is an ultrasound which goes through the eye, touches the retina at the back, comes back, and this transducer takes it and thus gives us the axial length of the eye. What if the transducer is not placed well, it is placed at an angle, then you have the sound which is bouncing back at a different angle and your axial length will not be correct. So it is mandated that you need to look at these graphs once you are doing an A scan. All these graphs should, so this should end in a tip at here and not flat like this. So this is the first one which is at the cornea, which is flat, which is normal, but all these should be spiked like this, and some of them should be short like here where A, B, C is smaller and D is coming up. So it should not be that way. So that is a good method to see that you are doing it. So the A scan works on ultrasound waves of about 10 to 12 megahertz, and it is with a piezoelectric crystal that you take these readings. The applanation versus the immersion technique. So once you are applanating the probe onto the cornea, even in the most experienced hand, there is some compression, which is typically in the range of 0.14 to 0.28. So as we talked earlier, that 1 millimeter would create a 2.5 diopters of error in the IOL power. So with the 10%, you will get about a 0.25 error in your IOL calculation. So the immersion technique is with the help of a Prager shell, which you put onto the eye and fill it with the fluid and just put the A-scan probe into it so that there is no compression onto the cornea. The optical biometers have changed the scenarios how we work, and in fact, after we got the IOL Master 700, our number of toric lenses peaked suddenly, and though it will not give a direct sort of a payback, but it gives a lot of indirect payback. So you should think about a good optical biometer. But even if you don't have one, I feel that they work wonderfully well. The A scans work wonderfully well, and with the non-applanation, that is the immersion technique, you do get very good reading. So the IOL Master 700 and the LensStar work slightly differently. They are easy and technician independent, unlike the A scans. Non-contact. You don't need the Prager shell. There's no water bath which is required. They're accurate for silicon-filled eyes. Latest formula are already incorporated there. Now, the main advantage of the LensStar is the RBF Hill, the artificial intelligence formula, where Gaurav has done a lot of work here with Dr. Hill, and he can elaborate on that. Meanwhile, the IOL Master 700 is based on the sweat source OCT technology. You can actually visually verify the structures, and the fixation is the most important bit of it, because the macular scan of the OCT can actually tell you that you fixated right in the center. And now it gives you the true K values. That means the posterior corneal astigmatism can be calculated on this machine as well. There are various formulas, the original formulas which were there, but we've hardly used them. Then came the SRK1 formulas, which are the original regression formulas, which became modified and which now we use to some level, the SRK2 formulas here. But what we must now ensure that whatever we are investing into, the modern formulas is the way to go forward, and SRKT is the least what you should have, besides the Hagues, the Barrett's, and the Holidays formula, which are now in session in our practices. So whatever biometer, whatever A-scan, whatever you buy, you should see the formulas what are incorporated there. Now, which formula to use when? So any hypermetrop less than 20 millimeter, you can use a Holiday or a Hoffer-Q formula. 22 to about 24, 26, these formulas do very well. Even the SRKT does fairly well. And anything above 26, a Holiday formula can be used. But now this is what we use is the Barrett 2, which is now become the Barrett Universal. It goes through the ranges, and the Hill RBF, which only comes with the lens star. And as I said, Gaurav can elaborate about it a lot more. These do require the effective lens positioning as well in most of them. So if in case you're using the SRKT, you should be aware that with the hypermetropic eyes, it is not the best. It does work for the myopic eyes, but you do also have to make some adjustments there. Anyways, we do have the web help always with us. You can always go onto various websites as the ASCRS or the APCRS website where all these formulas are available, and you can actually use these web formulas. Coming down to the next bit, now you've taken care of the refractive error. That is the refractive error, which was the spherical part of it. You now have to take care of the astigmatism. And why do you have to think about it? Is because there is a huge prevalence of the pre-operative astigmatism, and this slide shows that in various countries. These are the studies from various countries, and it does show that the prevalence of pre-operative astigmatism is from varying between 23 to about 47%, and that's a huge. So if there are about 25% of your patients who are landing up in your practice with pre-operative astigmatism, you're not doing anything about it. They will land up spectacle dependent, and these will be the unhappy patients. Now, if you're telling them about various procedures, about various modalities which are available, at least they know that they will have to use these glasses after the surgery, and they'll not be unhappy because they already know about it pre-operative. Various studies have been done, and this survey did show that the majority of the physicians, about 90% of the physicians, did think that about 0.75 diopters was what they should be dealing with if any patient with more than 0.75 diopters. Now, what are the astigmatism control parameters? It's the size of the incision, distance from the center of the cornea, I don't know about, and I'll just touch upon the surgically induced astigmatism. So, whenever you're making a cleaner corneal wound, there is a slippage of the wound, and that will lead on to some amount of change in the. Traditionally, when we used to do ECCs and SICS and putting sutures, we knew that the tight sutures cause the peripheral corneal under the suture to be flat and central cornea to near the apex to flatten up. What we are doing with our incisions is flattening that meridian where we're making the unsutured incision. So it is also depending on the size of the incision. The more the size of the incision, the more the slippage, and hence there's more SIA, the surgically induced astigmatism. So I would, if let us suppose there is a patient in such a scenario, let's say at 90 degrees, the steeper meridian, I would actually, after the procedure, might increase the size of the wound to 2.8 so that I am causing more slippage and hence more surgically induced astigmatism and hence flattening the steeper meridian in the superior area. So larger incisions will cause more flattening, and that's what I did talk about. Shorter tunnels will also cause more flattening. I'll make a shorter tunnel on the steeper meridian as well. And I might go more corneal, away from the limbus, more towards the center of the pupil if I want to induce more astigmatism. Where should I place my incision? Definitely on the steeper meridian, and that's what we do expect. The most clear corneal incision do a flattening of about 0.5 diopters, but this value of 0.5 has been changing as more and more we understand about the posterior corneal astigmatism. So there are various surgically induced astigmatism calculators available, and the most common one is the Dr. Hill, which is a free download on drhill.com. Dr. Saurabh Choudhary from Delhi, he's devised one. All these are free, and you can actually go and they will help you know what your surgically induced astigmatism is. How do I control it? Well, on the table, I do most of my incisions are on axis, or I would want to do a LRI, which most of us have forgotten, a very basic technique, or opposite clear corneal incision. Post-operatively, you can touch them up with the LASIK or use toric IOLs as well. You decide pre-operatively and use toric IOLs as well. So on axis is just that you're going onto the steeper axis, you can increase the incision, go slightly more towards the center of the pupil as what you deem fit. The opposite clear corneal incisions I do very often, and that's just a small video to show. I make my main incision, and because I am doing that, I'm using a 2.8 millimeter incision on the main wound because I want more slippage here. And after my procedure is through, the lens is in place, I make a second incision right opposite to it. And this is again a 2.8 millimeter, which is right opposite, right across. So it's as simple as that. So you're coupling the effect, you're coupling the slippage, what had happened, and hence you have these two incisions here. So my suggested algorithm is that if it is less than 0.5 diopters, I'll just do a temporal incision. If it is more than or equal to 0.5 diopters, on axis phacoemulsification, that's what I do. The temporal correction with the 2.8 millimeter incision does correct about 0.5 to 0.7. I do increase it. The size, I do go to the center of the pupil. Opposite clear corneal incision, anything about 1.5. But I do use torics quite a bit, and anything 1.25, I do use torics. And this is for those patients who are not opted for torics because of commercial reasons. LRIs is something what we've forgotten totally. LRIs used to be done at one particular time and they got out of vogue because they were unpredictable, but they still have come back with the lasers, surgeries, with the laser cataract surgeries, the femtocataracts which have come back. And these are very, very promising now with the laser procedures. But what we need to understand is that we are creating two incisions, which is again flattening these this meridian. So if something what started off with the 45 diopters will land up in the 44 here. Larger incisions will cause more flattening. Central incisions again more flattening, and deeper cunts again more flattening. And you can actually go up to 90%. Diamond blades were being used at one time. So many nomograms, so much confusion, but life becomes a lot simpler after the LRIcalculator.com site is available. It's from Johnson & Johnson's. So you just need to feed in the data. There is Donenfield as well as the Nishamin age and pachymetry algorithm available here. So you can actually choose what algorithm you want to use. Feed in the data. If you're coupling it with the phaco incision, you can do that. And it just tells you exactly where to make the incisions, how long, and it's as simple as that. And I do it regularly, and this is something what I just did a few days back for a patient who was, you just mark it out as to whatever you're getting on this. So this is not coinciding with this, but I just take a blade like this, and I mark the arc there, how long I have to do, and I'm just using a phaco blade. And why I incorporated this video is that it's so simple that I've just incorporated that before I start my procedure. Here is again, we're just using the toric markers. You just mark it out, and you can go ahead and do this procedure as simple as that. So this was so that was the laser incisions. What is now is the way to go ahead, and those are the two arcuate incisions here and here, which is being shown. So that's the rexus which is being performed. So that's the rexus. That's this, and then here we're going with the arcuate incision. That's one, and that's the second one which is coming up right now before the main incision. What we do, so you can see the after the femtosecond the bubbles which have been created here, and you do need to open it up, and you can actually choose how you want it. You want it open at right away, or you would want to open it on the table or post-operative. Bioptics is something which was coined by Roberto Zaldivar in 1999, but you're actually using a phakic IOL followed by a LASIK, or any sort of IOL followed by a LASIK. Toric IOLs is what is the way to go forward. I've used a couple of the new Technis MERS IOLs, which one of the trainees from US has got along. So the toric IOL has some procedural considerations. It is actually like a standard cataract phacoemulsification, and anybody who can do a phacoemulsification, I would strongly suggest can go ahead and do a toric. It's as easy as that. So the toric eye implantation requires just the toric eye calculation, the marking of the eye in the sitting position, and eye alignment on axis thereafter. So you go on to this toric eye calculator, you just put in the data. The spherical power is calculated by whatever your preferred method is. Here, you choose the Barrett calculator, and you utilize the online toric calculator to determine the correct IOL power, and it will give you what sort of an IOL to be. And as Gaurav is saying, you should actually calculate for every each and every patient of yours. So here it says a non-toric lens or a T3 lens or whatever it will choose, and it will give you where exactly to place the lens in, and you can go ahead. In the sitting position pre-operatively, you have to mark them. This is the ASICO bubble marker. I usually don't use it anymore. My preferred technique is on the slit lamp, I make a small slit, and the most important thing is you should be able to get this sort of a reflex. That means you're right in the center. You're not you're getting. So that's the reflex. What is most important? I take a needle and just mark it out, and afterwards I just use a pen over the scratched epithelium what I've scratched out. So I use the pen here, and I have these marks which do not smudge intraoperatively. Once you're onto the table, you need to first dry it out, then use your Mendes ring onto those marks, and just mark out with a Stinsky hook, so that it's more precise, and just go ahead and mark this. So that is where you make your incision. That's 180 degrees, and that's where you place your lens on. This is the procedure. Because paucity of time, I'll just skip through it. I just can't seem to be able to get the videos through. So that's the end of the case, and then you go ahead and so this is the remarking where you actually want to put it, and then put the mark on the lens, and the marks should coincide. Now, Varion is this image-guided procedure in which you can, and the Callisto is the same thing. The Callisto I from Zeiss. There's a measurement module, there's a planner module, and there's a surgical pilot module, and it makes your life very simple. So it is on your ocular in the OT, on the right ocular. There's an image which comes there. You go ahead, follow that image for your incisions, your rexes, where exactly you need to put. Make your rexes. So this is a limbus centered. You can actually center it on the visual axis, or you can center it on the pupillary center. So whatever you want, you can go ahead and do that. That's the rexes here, and let's see if I can. So I'll just jump to the last bit here. So these are the marks. It should coincide with whatever the virtual marks which are coming out here should. So it makes your life very simple. Gaurav and Kumar both use them, and I would say it is an investment, but it is a good investment here. Coming down to the next bit about IOLs and IOLs, and that's the last bit what I'll be talking about. And we'll have the questions coming in, and we'll try to answer those. And I will request Gaurav and Kumar to chip in. But aspherical lenses is what we think now is the best lens, but we should be making sure that we are taking a lot of other things, including the status of the cornea, before we think about an aspheric lens. And most lenses now come as aspheric. We do use the normal spherical lenses as well in some cases, especially post-LASIK cases where aspheric lens can induce more abrasions, and we do need to look into that. The aspheric lenses come as zero as well as negative and positive spherical lenses. There are different companies which come up with these. You can actually look at the status of the cornea before you think a zero, negative, or a positive lens to use. You can actually give the patient monovision. That means targeting plano in the dominant eye, and targeting about a -1.5 in the non-dominant eye. Does not reduce contrast sensitivity, gives good stereopsis. It is cost effective. And for all our patients who are undergoing surgeries in our community side, these 3 patients, we do a monovision for all, and we have very good results with it. Micro monovision is something which has no definition to it, but it is something what we do very often while doing our premium IOLs, especially the extended depth of focus, the multifocal EDOF lenses, the extended range of vision lenses, and that's what we go ahead and do with them. We keep some amount of myopia we leave behind, so that the nearer vision which can be taken care of. I'll just skip this. There is this lens, which is the IHANS lens, and I think it is going to change. At least it has changed my practice, at least, and I'm using more and more of these. There is a continuous change in the power from the periphery to the center of the lens. It has, I won't say good, but it has some intermediate vision which comes in, and patients are able to work on the computer without an aid. And these are very happy patients. The cost of these lenses are not too much from the other monofocal lenses. So I now prefer to put these lenses in most of my educated patients. Long-term data is still not available, and as more and more studies come up, we'll be able to have that. Now, there are other lenses, which were the multifocal lenses, the refractive lenses, which are totally out of vogue now, and the diffractive lenses, which is what we use. The multifocal lenses, primarily, it was the wrong definition. It was the bifocal lenses. And as I said, I'll go back to the slide, and I won't want to elaborate. Is the light coming in from near and distance is both getting focused. There are halos, there is a blur, and the patient can only focus at one distance at one time. But this is what the format we do follow, and this is a form which each of our premium multifocal or EDOF patient has to fill before we take a final decision if he's the right candidate. So there are basically 6 basic questions. Where do you want to see without glasses? That is, which range are you looking for? How critical is night vision for you? Where is your habitual near working distance? Are you open to optical compromise to achieve your goals, or you still want to get rid of your glasses if it comes at an extra cost? And are you an easygoing patient, or a person, or a perfectionist? So any perfectionist, I would not dare to put a multifocal lens in. Though, as I said, that we do ask all my patients to fill this form, and I go through it before I take a final call what sort of a lens is suitable for this patient. Before I finish, I'll just put this, that yes, there is almost no near vision with a monofocal lens. The accommodating lenses had a better near vision, but it did come with some photic phenomena. And as you increase the better vision, you go to low ad monofocals and the high ad monofocals, the photic phenomena does increase. There is a patient who they complain about halos with the higher ad multifocals. So what we now stick to are more of the extended depth of focus lenses, the SIFIs, which comes without any rings, or the symphonies, as well as the trifocals, which come somewhere here, though they have a little bit more of halos as compared to the EDOF lenses, and the low ad monofocals. That's what we use now. So this is the panoptics or the trifocals from Zeiss, but that's what we use, which comes somewhere here. Low ad multifocals in EDOF. You can mix and match as well. So I've done quite a few mix and matching with my Symphony and my panoptics. Thank you.
Thanks, Saurabh. I think that was fantastic. Sorry, how much information you managed to squeeze in. No, it's great, because what you squeezed into this was worth of like an hour's presentation put into 20 minutes of presentation. So I'm thankful to both of you for elucidating. Now we have lots of questions. What I'll do is that I'll quickly show a small few videos, because there are a lot of people saying that can you show your ICL videos. It's ICL videos are available everywhere, but what I'll do is I'll quickly show you what I'm doing now. This is a hydroimplantation where we are injecting with ICL. This is an advanced thing which you should only try if you've done lots of ICLs. So let me see if I can show you a video for that. And let's see. Okay. So where is my presentation? One moment. Okay. So I think I have this video. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Seems there is some problem with it. Let me see if I can open it from.
So Gaurav, while you're opening, I'll just
I'll just try to show 1 or 2 videos from here. Okay.
Yeah. So if it will take some time, I'll put a couple of questions which are coming up on the YouTube too.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So the question which here says, is it necessary to do a YAC PI in phakic IOL surgery? Kumar, would you like to answer that?
No, see, many years back, we've been doing phakic IOL since many years. That time, there was no central hole in the ICLs. So we used to do a yak PI 1 week before, and then after a week we used to do a Phakic IOL. Then we started doing it on the table at the same time, and now the new model, which is made by Star or the IPCL, they have a central hole from where the flow happens continuously, so yak PI is not necessary anymore.
Yeah, and including the Indian lenses, they also have a central or a hole on the periphery. So now we don't do the yak PIs definitely. Right?
Yes.
So very correct, Kumar. In fact, that central hole has made life so much easier. 15, 20 years back when we started doing ICLs, when there was no hole, we would see IOP spikes. We would see, induction of cataract in occasional patients, raised IOPs. And, a low vault would mean that you have to exchange the ICL. So I think that central hole or the other holes have made life very easy, because first thing is they allow the aqueous to kind of, flow between the posterior and behind and the front of the ICL. So even a very low vault will be tolerated. You will not get IOP spikes or pupillary blocks as you would get in the past. You don't have to do PIs, which used to cause occasionally, symptoms for our patients. And also, even with a very low vault, say about 50 to 100 microns, we will not jump into an ICL exchange. So the incidence of cataract has gone away almost completely, unless you are really unlucky to damage the lens or something is really wrong, or if the patient is rubbing his eyes. So I think that central hole has huge advantages. Yes, it does produce for occasional patients a little bit complaint of halos in the beginning. But if you just counsel them about neuroadaptation and how to kind of avoid looking for the halos, 99% patients eventually don't complain about it. So I think, is my screen visible, Kumar and Saurabh?
Yeah.
The video screen? Now this is, can you see the video?
Yeah,
Yes, you can start.
Okay, I'm not playing it yet, but if you can see the video, I'm going to play it now. Okay.
Yeah, play.
Okay, so this is something very new what I've done only in the last 6 months. See, we had one, I've been doing ICL for 15, 20 years now, and 99% we've had very few complications. As I said, 3 or 4 patients who got a cataract. I should have done over 1,000 ICLs, and only 3, 4 of them where I had to eventually do a cataract surgery. A couple of patients where I've had to explant it because of some reasons like raised IOP or inflammation, and maybe 1 or 2 patients where ICL rotated, so the size was not right, so we've exchanged the ICL. So they are not very common. ICLs are very, very safe when done correctly. And now we had one complication about 6-8 months back where we had a Uret-Zavalia syndrome in a patient right after cataract surgery, and he had extremely high IOPs. And whatever we might do, we did an AC tap and we did everything possible. It would not settle down. So we eventually were able to manage it by, kind of doing an AC wash and resettling and rotating the lens and, kind of stroking the iris. So that, besides that, that's 1 out of 1,000 cases that we had. We started doing hydroimplantation of the ICL, which means that we no longer use viscoelastic. Now, don't take home the message that this is how you should start your ICLs. This is how you might be doing it after you have gone up about 100 ICLs. So let me quickly show, because my other videos are not immediately available. I will quieten the sound. So the sound is off. And let me remove this thing from here. So essentially here what we are doing is, this is, off late that we've been doing 2 side ports as we would do for, I'll appreciate comments from Dr. Kumar and Dr. Saurabh once I'm through with this, or in between if you want. So all this time we've not, kind of put any viscoelastic in the chamber. Now, as you can see, I'll hold it, I'll pause it. From the one side port, we have put in an infusion cannula. This is your typical bimanual IA. It's very similar to how you implant IOLs now without using viscoelastic under the influence of BSS. So if you're using a machine which allows you IOP control, then it becomes even better. But even with a pole infusion, you just have to have the infusion neither too high nor too low. I would keep it at something like 80 centimeters. And if I'm using a machine like the Centurion or the Signature, I would keep the IOP as something like 50 or 45. Now, once the infusion is on, your chamber is tight, and I've already loaded the ICL. Now, this one I'm going to use a star ICL, even though I use all the ICLs. You can see that my ICL is already loaded. And with the infusion on, I enter the chamber, I enter the pod. You cannot do a wound assisted. Here, my cartridge has gone to the tip of the internal lip of the wound. I'm not pushing it further. I don't need to. The infusion is constantly on by the pressure of your foot, so that the infusion remains on. You try to see that your ICL is unfolding correctly. And after that, as the ICL unfolds, you let it unfold and open up inside the chamber. Now, at this point, you have to be careful. The moment ICL goes in, sometimes the chamber shallows because the fluid will escape from the wound. Now, under the infusion, like that means your infusion is constantly on. I have not used any viscoelastic till now. Usually the surgery is over in about 2 or 3 minutes. because the ICL has to be just tucked inside. So you have to be extremely skilled with your ICL surgeries when you're doing this, because you don't want to damage your lens. You don't want any fluctuations in the chamber. You should know your movement should be very refined. But I'll tell you why I started doing this, the advantage of doing this. So once your ICL is in, your ICL is nicely inside the eye, you position it and your surgery is over. So this is in real time. This whole surgery that you saw was in real time. The ICL is in, you just seal your chambers and you're out. Now the advantage is that if you would understand that mostly when we do ICLs, one of the most important step is to remove the viscoelastic. So let me just show you what can happen with an ICL when you have injected with viscoelastic. And let me just take you to another presentation where um, let's see if I can show you one. There was a problem in loading the presentation, but I'll try. And okay, so let's see if that goes on. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So I have this presentation which is likely to open up as a PPT, and let me see if it opens up. So I'm not sure this will play.
Saurabh, in the meantime, you prepare a question for you
So
from the audience.
yes,
Will you
Kumar.
look at corneal aberration before the treatment of doing the cataract? And what is the effect of age on SIA? So once Gaurav shows his videos, you can answer
I
this.
think we should go on. I'll show the videos later. Let's go on with the discussion. There are lots of questions to answer, so I feel that we should go ahead. In fact, Kumar, there was one very interesting question which came up, that if you want to set up a LASIK center of your own, and you know what is the lowest investment required and which machine might be the best to start with, can you help us answer this? Like if somebody is interested, has a good flourishing cataract practice and wants to set up, let's be brief and quick because there's lots of questions, but you know, in general.
So you want me to answer about how much money is necessary to start a
You
LASIK?
give general guidelines on, you know, whether you should go for a new machine or an old machine, what other
Yeah.
equipment you should buy, whether you should buy a microkeratome today or you know femtosecond laser, which you know. So quick questions on that. You know, I think the message should not be to buy your own machine today. In these, but if you're really smart, use somebody else's machine, charge you for a regular LASIK more than 20-25. But for a standard basic LASIK, you know, all you might have to do, you can charge your 50,000 or whatever. Don't buy a basic machine of your own. Use somebody else's. Just pay them the. But Kumar, can you add to this?
So your own LASIK center, how much will it cost and which machine to buy? 3-year warranty. Which can do an option of press by machine which gives this will go hit you. The maintenance contracts are tough. So your an example laser today for the topography, which is the starting of a center.
The break even point, how many
Patients a month, and that will be
Charging as well. Kumar, in small towns, you're sitting in Bombay, small towns, you know, Dehradun, we have 3 centers. We have a machine which is similarly in other people who are the special. So that's why visit 10 patients if at all. Many machines in the country. A month, out of which
one question. Next question is, which book to
chances of RD
just IPC
cover it as well. So one it is not difficult to learn, and you know if you have really not suggest that you are basic or all other even if you are not comfortable, you can you can there are lattice wait at least 50 center every day. So you know but right now so please there are the friends to at least have a for refractive surgery. People in our because see the technology you have, everyone has different now online or there is enough. We will try to organize.
Using more. You said that Charlie want to make a 10 millimeter insert.
To save the Hindu.
The
For using questions. With something which I for COVID Kumar, you are NABS everything with either one from which means patient to another, the
is
centers will
I wonder what point one in the surgeons only two. Now,
I wasn't uh, about which mostly by or a